They say motherhood is a journey, but let's be honest, sometimes it feels more like a roller coaster with no seatbelt. I bet you're like me, wondering why babies, or teens in my case, don't come with instruction manuals. Welcome to This Incredible Mom Life, the podcast that celebrates the beautiful chaos, quiet wins, messy moments, and everyday miracles of being a mom. I'm your host, Dummy, wellness coach, mom of 3 boys, and a passionate believer that you don't have to live at the mercy of PMS, burnout, or exhaustion. Join me every week as we hear the craziest and most unbelievable mom stories. I'll be sharing the huge accomplishments and triumphs of both our moms and their kids. We'll giggle, cheer on the kids, and discuss obstacles and lessons learned along the way. If you are struggling to be the best mom you can be, how open-minded are you to booking a free call with me? You don't have to live at the mercy of your cycle, and you definitely don't have to do it alone. Give yourself permission to let me be part of your support system. I believe that you weren't meant to just survive motherhood. You were meant to thrive in it. Hello. We are back again today. I have a supermom guest with me on This Incredible Mom Life. Jennifer Natasia Barnes is an educator, speaker, and licensed financial professional dedicated to helping people build wealth in ways that feel safe, aligned, and sustainable. Blending financial education with mindset, nervous system awareness, and personal growth, her work explores the connection between self-worth and financial well-being. She is the host of the Sacred H.E.R.story Podcast, a space centered on authentic conversations with everyday women about healing, identity, motherhood, and transformation. As a mother of 3 and longtime educator, Jennifer brings warmth, honesty, and lived experience into every conversation, helping listeners reimagine wealth as both an inner and external journey. Thank you, Jennifer, for taking time out of your busy day and being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So you are also a mom of 3.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about your 3.
Well, so I have a 9-year-old, 11-year-old, and soon to be 14-year-old. So 2 boys, and my youngest is a girl.
2 boys and a girl,
Yeah.
and they're just a little bit younger than my kids. I have 3 teenagers, so we're in that. Do you have a high schooler yet? Yeah, right?
No, he'll be in high school next year,
He'll be
but
in
I
high school next year, so he's in 8th
I
grade.
work with
Yeah.
high schoolers, so I know how that is.
I had 1 year where I had them in 3 different schools. So I had one in elementary, one in middle school, one in high school. That was fun.
Yes. I'll be that next year.
Yeah, that was
That
a
will be me.
challenging because all the pickup times and drop off times and their activities, everything was different. So that was a fun year. You'll love it.
I'm like, I rolled my eyes. I'm like,
Yeah, luckily for me, it was only 1 year and then it was done.
Right. You know, it's momhood, right? We make it work, we figure it out.
We make it work. So tell us one of your momhood stories.
One of my momhood stories. You know, I was like thinking about this and I go, gosh, there's so many, but I don't remember any. But one specific one, you know, so as a single mom, you know, it's like I want my kids to still experience life, right? I wanted to create something magical, and I had this great idea because they were still young, you know. My daughter was like 4, and then my son was 5, and my oldest was like 8 or 9 or something. And he had to be 8, 3 years older than, yeah. And I was like, you know what? We should go experience a Polar Express train, right? You remember that movie, right? It's so cute. You know, they're singing in the train. And so in Arizona, they have this thing with the train where you get to experience a Polar Express. And I was like, oh, we should go do this. I've been wanting to do this for a couple years, you know, because they're little, you know. And so I go, yeah, we're gonna do it. I finally got the tickets, I got the hotel, you know, just my 3 kids and me. Well, it was a 6, 7 hour drive to get there. I got one kid in the car, kind of flipped around. I'm like, where's your seatbelt? You know, so I had to pull over for that. And we get there to the hotel. They act like they never, like they weren't raised right. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, one's jumping on the bed. I'm like, you guys act like you don't have beds or something. One's on the phone. I'm like, oh Lord. He called someone, I don't know who, another
Oh,
room.
no.
Then another one's mom. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? So instead of like this whole idea in my head, it's going to be perfect and magical. And they're all right here listening. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I just was like, you know what? It's what it is. We're gonna have fun. And I'm like, get off the phone though, because who are they talking to? And we finally got to the train, um, because it was like a few hours later in the evening, and my middle one had a meltdown
Oh
in the
no.
train, and I'm just like, this is not the idea I was thinking I was gonna have. And the other two were so happy and they're clapping and singing along. So I go, okay, at least two of my kids are happy. One is having a meltdown. And we survived. We survived.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the story. Everyone lived. We made it back home. It was an adventure in itself, the drive, so, but, you know, there's that experience of overwhelm, but there's like, oh, well, at least they had fun. When we got home, they all had a great time, minus the crying. Yeah. And I got one right here.
I
Always
see
wanted out.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. Helping you
You
out.
Yeah, I go, you guys, I'm going to do a recording, and they're like, okay,
Would
yes,
you
go
like to
ahead,
join
please.
in? Yeah, they're going to
Yeah,
join
you
in
want to join? You want to say hi?
with us.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah, so that's the story of,
that is a story. And with three kids, there's a high probability that one of them is going to have a meltdown
yeah, and and it's
anywhere.
anywhere, anywhere, you know, and the need. You want to say hi? Do you want to say hi? So this is my 9-year-old. She's just as big as me. Like they grow so fast,
Mhm.
but it's those memories, right? This was something I will always treasure, remember. I think I wanted to do the Polar Express more than they did. This is
Yeah.
the one that had the meltdown. Hey, okay, good. So
That's my stuff.
there's two out of the three. The third one's not home yet. So
I,
mom life.
I I know these mom lives, yes. Yeah. So you had two kids that had fun, one that was having a meltdown. How did you enjoy that trip?
I kept looking at the ones having fun while I was holding this one who was having a straight meltdown and crying. And I recorded him too, just to be like, this is a memory to remember because and you can't get embarrassed. It's like all parents in there, with young ones. So he was the only one I saw crying in the train where we were at. And, you know, it's it's a memory. It's something that, I could tell over and over and tell its future partner, like, hey, you want to see him crying? Look at what a baby he was.
Yeah, on his wedding day, you can bring that up.
Yeah, yeah, I'll put it in one of those, how they show the pictures and stuff and just show him crying.
Stop.
So,
No.
yes.
The joys of being a mom. Yeah, so you planned out this perfect trip, and of
It
course
was perfect in my
there,
head.
there was a little. There's I always say there's always going to be one disaster, whatever it is. So
Yeah, I would take that disaster, over anything, of one crying and the other two just enjoying themselves. But yeah,
that's funny, and I'm sure you're not alone. So if there's another mom listening who had a similar experience um, on the Polar Express or somewhere with between 1 and 3 kids, let us know. DM us. We want to hear it.
this is the same one who also got lost at Legoland.
Oh
So
no.
it's a whole nother story in itself that it reminds me of.
And I
I
was
go,
like
it's
this.
always my middle child that's putting me through something.
Yeah, I was like two.
It's my youngest that's the troublemaker. So yeah, there's always one.
Always one.
Well, you can laugh about it, and maybe one day he'll take his kids on the Polar Express. You never know.
Heck
Yeah.
no.
And you
No.
can hear him in the background as he's being dramatic.
No.
um,
Downstairs, please.
all right. So tell us, and now you're a life insurance agent. So tell us a little bit about why getting life insurance is so important.
Well, so for my reason, it was, being a single parent. I thought I had enough. I go, yeah, I got it from my job. Well, one thing that I learned is if you have insurance from your job, if you change job or get fired, it doesn't go with you. And so I was like, oh, and I did change jobs recently. And so that insurance I had didn't go with me. And then the older we get, the more it increased. But the main thing was like, if something were to happen to me, what would happen to my children? What kind of future will they have? Like I have people, I have my mom and my sister who loves them dearly, but can they afford to take care of them? Would they still have the same lifestyle that or the opportunity that I would want for them because I work hard. I'm trying to watch my mouth. And I want them to excel. Like, okay, if you want to go to college, if you want to start a business, but also something with insurance that a lot of people don't know is that depending on what kind, the one that I always share with families that my clients is the living benefits. And with the living benefits, it's still you get to use your insurance while you're alive. So let's say you got in an accident and you can't work anymore. Having living benefits is so important to have. There's also things called infinite banking. So it's using your insurance as a savings account or using it as a retirement. So each of my children, they have their own insurance. I like to call it 7702 because, or their own infinite banking. So their retirement is already starting. And the taboo is like, oh my gosh, well, so you're going to collect money when if something happens to them? I go, that's not the reason why, but but you know what I mean? It's not the reason why. It's so that they're like my children, they have their retirement growing
Yeah.
already. And
Yeah.
the big thing about it is Uncle Sam can't touch it because it's covered by the code, the 7702 code to protect that money. So what money you're putting in there, it is safe and protected and won't get taxed, and people don't know this thing. And this is as an educator, I get to educate families about this stuff. And there's so many perks, like how to use a whole life, because the whole life you overfund it, you get that money out right away. Versus an IUL, that's more of a savings, but the interest is higher, rather than
Mm.
putting in a bank, you only get 1% back if you're lucky. And how often do you make money putting money in a bank? And I get to talk to families about this and, if they don't have something to protect their families, here it is. And we also, with some of the companies that I work with, they provide a will and trust. And so that's so important, so that it prevents your things going to probate, which a lot of people don't realize how important
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
Something were to happen. Yeah. So this is why there's many reasons behind it. It's not the most attractive, you know, topic to talk about because people think of death, but you know what? That's one thing we can't escape. And
Yeah.
yet, how nice is it to have that comfort of knowing that, hey, my kids will be taken care of. That's one thing that they don't have to worry about. But yet they have their future because I know I'm leaving them something
Right.
you know. And so that was my biggest reason why I do this business. And then on top of it, because I came out of a toxic relationship, I also implement ways to calm our nervous system. So there's somatic work that I also provide even before signing up, getting a life insurance policy, we can talk about that part. And that's where that wealth alignment coach, I'm kind of shifting again, going, oh, well, how about sacred wealth guide, like,
Awesome.
because, yeah, because each person is individual. And what does wealth look like to you? So that's my whole thing. What does it look like to me? How do I attain it? And am I working towards that? It doesn't mean, oh, I need to be on a yacht, but it's just being in a cozy home, knowing that we got food to eat, my kids are safe, they got their future, and we're good. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. So your kids are taken care of, right?
Mhm.
And you've set them up with retirement plans, so that's awesome.
Mhm.
Do you recommend that families start when the kids are really young?
Yes. Yes. And even if you don't have children, but you plan to, or even if you want to start your own savings, getting an IUL, an Index Universal Life, um, is a smart decision. I had a life insurance policy when I was like 25. I'm not going to tell how old I am. And you know what? They were like, oh, you don't need it. You don't have a family. And I was like, well, okay, so I got rid of it. I wish I knew what I
Oh,
knew now then, that I was saving, I was able to put money aside, and that could be like another kind of source of savings for me, that if I
yeah.
wanted to put a down payment, I don't have to go into my retirement account and then they're going to charge me to use my own money. In this circumstance, it doesn't charge you. It's your money,
Mhm.
what's overfunded, and I was like, "Geez, I would be so good,
Yeah.
if I didn't listen to that person." And even with like our children, we have what's called the $1 million baby, like so that when your child is, how do you fund this policy so that they're a millionaire in the future? That's money is a whole other issue in itself. Like where's the dollar going to be? So, but to have that protection is
Yep.
important.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a sense of security. It's, you're giving them a little bit of uh, money and room not to explore with it, but to explore on their own now so that they have that for later. So that's amazing.
Right,
That's awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, like my kids, they can use this money that's saved up for education, to start a
Hmm.
business, to put a down payment on a
Yep.
house, to travel. There's no limitation, and
That's
so
amazing.
for me, that's like, okay, I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking of their future.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
single
And you
parent,
have to. You have to plan ahead, right?
right?
Um,
Single or
we
not single, being a parent, right? We're thinking of their well-being, and our own well-being too. Like I said, that living benefits is gold. I mean, living out here in California, we got all these crazy drivers. You never know.
You never know. That's right.
Yeah,
Well, anywhere, anytime, right? You never know. So,
yeah, yeah,
um,
absolutely.
talk
Hmm.
about more about how you mix in the your wealth alignment coaching with
So,
your insurance policies.
yeah, so pretty much let's say somebody needs, so there's that portion where I can talk to just the family about the different policies, about annuities. And then there's the other part where it's more coaching, where it's more getting into alignment with helping people with the emotional awareness and their personal growth. And so for me, like I was sharing after my divorce, it came out of a toxic relationship. Even in the relationship, I felt like I gave too much of my power. And there was this um, time where I had to like I had to regulate my nervous system, so that I can make good decisions. And so I work around the nervous system as well, like normalizing it. Like it's okay to feel panic. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel whatever feelings that's coming up. So let's sit with it and be okay with it so that it can be released. And so there's that whole portion of that where doing breath work, breathing through it, and calming the nerves so that you can make good decisions in whatever choices that you're making, right? Because if we're too much in like a manic or too depressed, we're just going to make decisions that may not be in our best intentions. And so that's the portion where I work with, and there's more education on there. There's I do have a 4-week program of, calming this nervous system and bringing awareness to what is coming through at that moment in time and breathing with it. And then some little tools to help educate on the financial part, like budgeting, like let's take a good picture of what's really happening. And it could be so scary looking at that. But you know what? Once you look at it, you can put a game plan together to say, okay, all right, this is what it is, and start from there.
Yeah,
So, you know,
that's amazing. I love that. Um, so I work with women on their physical symptoms, right? And two of the things that I see are the brain fog, right? Where you're not able to focus, you're not able to concentrate and learn something new, make good decisions. And then the most common one is stress, right? There's a lot of financial stress, there's stress about everything else in the world going on. So I love that you work with that and you calm them down so that they can make like, educated, rational decisions and from a good space. So I like that.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. 3 years ago, we were in an accident. That was one of the scariest times. I've had to start over twice after a divorce, so it's like learning to show ourselves grace,
Yes.
in the circumstances and just pick up where we are. We are we are here, we're in this moment. We have breath, and that's something to be grateful for. If everyone's okay around you, your loved ones, start there, because money is money and you can always make more, but when you can sit with it and be like, okay, this is what it is, this is my expenses, then you know which way to move and how to move. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. And now tell us a little bit more about your podcast too.
Podcast. Yes, this has been such an exciting experience for me this season, I should say. Yeah, Sacred Her.story Podcast focuses on everyday women's story. You don't have to be anything but be yourself. And I think that's the beauty of Sacred Her. It's honoring women's journey, where they are, you know, I feel like, we see so much AI and, fake stuff and, we want to look better and, and we see the good parts in people's lives, but, there's so much more behind all that. There's a story that got them where they are, right? They're like, who knows what was going on in their relationship or with children, and it's taking a moment and seeing this person for who they are, where they are at this moment, and honoring their journey, their sacred journey. We all have our sacred uniqueness, and it is to say, yes, I am here. And we can always move forward, and to be seen, to be heard. And I feel like as women, our voices has been suppressed in so many ways. So, Sacred Her Story is a way for women to be seen and heard and for that medicine to be passed on. Because this is what our ancestors did. They told stories.
Yeah.
And here we're doing it on Sacred Her Story Podcast.
Nice. So go check out that podcast and get some amazing stories.
Yeah. Which
Awesome.
you are on it too. So
I
you'll be,
am. Yes, you can start with that one.
yes.
All right. Um, so for the moms who may not be very financially savvy or set, what are some of the first tips that you can give them to get started?
First tip, breathe.
Important, very
Gratitude.
important.
Breathe. And also think of something. I like to think of three things you're grateful for because that helps lift the mood, right? Whether you're healthy, your babies are well, if you don't have children, you got, whatever is good. You can walk, you can dance, you can move. Those simple things that we take for granted for. And then the first thing is writing down everything you have, like on a Google sheet, and if you need one, reach out to me. I can share it with you,
There you go.
and it's in my program as well. But write everything down, all your expenses, all your bills, list it all, your credit cards, list it all, look at it and know like, and then stop and pause and remind yourself, you're still here. You're safe. Think of those things you're grateful for. Because I think that's the hard part is like looking at it and being like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? And then you take the steps accordingly. Now you see what's in front of you. And then you can start categorizing. Okay, what do I need to pay for? If you're short on cash or you're not making as much, it is tough in the beginning. But you know what? When you can communicate, like talk to your creditors, they are more than gracious. When you can let them know, like, hey, this is what's going on, and they'll work with you. And we think like, oh my gosh, nobody's going to work with me, and we get into a panic. But you know what? it's really not like that. They know people go through hard times and they're more gracious than that. Unless it's a loan shark, that's a whole nother story. You know, they're kind of ruthless, you know. So you're talking to someone who's been there. I've had an eviction, I've had a car repossession, you know, and these things are not fun, but you know what? Life still goes on and you can still create the magic moving forward. So I guess first step, breathe. Second step, gratitude. Third step, write it all down. See what it all, everything that you have, no matter what. And again, look at your gratitude because you're here at this moment and you can work from this. You can work from there. And if you need to reach out to your creditors or whoever you owe to see how they can work with you and what you can do, because they're really gracious in doing so.
That is so cool. I love that you started with breathing and gratitude and you ended with gratitude too, right? Because the finances alone, anybody can just, you know, just
get overwhelmed and
do
you're
a
like,
budget and you'll be fine. But yeah, you'll be overwhelmed, stressed out.
like,
But
what
yeah.
can I do? And there's stuff that you can do, you know, it's like you can call them and they will work with you, you know,
Amazing.
and then if it comes to making money, you know, just this job. And, you know, I would say, you know what, don't be too humble yourself enough to be like, you know what, I got to do this for this time until you find something better, if that's what it takes, you know, because I've worked 2, 3 jobs, you know, and you do what you got to do, you
Do what
know,
you gotta do. Yeah.
and just, yeah, and just, it's going to be okay. Know that it's going to be okay. And you won't be there forever. It's just, this is what's happening now. A year from now, imagine where you will be, you know.
Amazing. So I will link your information below, but tell people where they can connect with you if they want help with their finances and a little bit of coaching too.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to my website. It's www.jennifer, Jennifer, Natasia, Natasia.com. That's my website. You can find me. You could also go to message me on Instagram at jennifer.natasia as well. I think most of I'm on LinkedIn, Jennifer Natasia Barnes. So all my information will be there with Amy, but just go to my website. There's a contact me and I'll be able to respond.
Perfect. And I will put all of these links down in the show notes so people can find you easily. This was very informative. Thank you. I did learn some stuff, and I love that you're working with the nervous system because it's such a huge part of everything we do, right? So I love that you incorporated that into, you know, setting up securities for your kids and getting the life insurance set up and all the finances. So that's really great work. And I want to thank you for sharing your stories, right? Because you're,
thank you.
Yeah, I loved it. It was good stuff. So thank you, Jennifer, for joining me today.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for this opportunity, you know, to share. And I know finances is not a sexy topic, but, you know, it gets sexier when you're making more, right?
There it is. And I'm going to leave with that thought that you can always make more is something you said, right? So
absolutely.
We'll leave it with that, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you.
Are you struggling to be the best mom you can be? Are you fatigued, overwhelmed, and stressed out? Are you losing precious time with your family because of PMS? If so, sign up for my free gift on how to start living in tune with your monthly cycle. The link to get it is in the show notes below. Use this guide to help you start to eliminate your symptoms of PMS, increase your energy, reduce stress, and fully enjoy this incredible mom life. The way I see it, you have 3 choices. You can try to figure it all out on your own. You can do nothing and stay where you are, or you can get the customized guidance you need to thrive as a mom. The choice is yours. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something from these stories. If you enjoyed this show, please make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share this podcast. It really helps this show grow. If you have a mom story you would like to share, click on the link in the description below on becoming a podcast guest. Remember, the content on this podcast is for general information only. It does not replace any medical advice given by your healthcare providers. Please check with your doctor if you have any questions about your specific condition and before starting any new diet or exercise regimen. Thank you, and you will hear from me soon.